Okay, so we can start on page 1. We begin by acknowledging the Whadjuk Noongar people, traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples everywhere. Sangye churan sangye chonam na chanchu badu dadni kyapsuchi dagi chenyen gibe sunam ki drola panche sangye drupasho sangye churan sangye chonam na chanchu badu dadni kyapsuchi dagi chenyen gibe sunam ki Drola panche sangye drupasho sangye churon soye chonam la chanchu badu dani kyatsuchi nagi chenyen gibe sonam ke drola panche sangye. Setting a most profound Mahayana motivation for engaging in listening, reflecting on this secret teaching. The 8 verses of thought transformation, lo-jong, mind training, transforming problems into happiness, taking the opportunity to see them as a cause for training our minds as we have been going along, more and more challenges in the sort of scenarios presented here for us to turn our mind around and see its opportunity. And think that it's been through the blessings of our precious teachers and then the lineage lamas and sort of distilling the essence of these mind training into particularly Shilangzi Tangpa into these mere 8 lines, 8 verses, 32 lines, 8 verses, to take as a daily practice. I think how precious, fortunate we are to be here still alive in this body, this precious human existence, having all the conditions to engage in the practice of Dharma, both externally and internally, particularly having the desire and the wish to engage in the most profound, courageous Bodhisattva path of making commitment, as we have just recited, to becoming the Buddha for the benefit of all beings. So with the purest of motivation, we engage in listening, reflecting, discussing, and so forth. Okay, so we've got 2 more verses left in 8 verses, which I intend to cover today. So it's on in the Lama Chökyi book on page 84. In short, it says, both directly and indirectly, do I offer every happiness and benefit to all my mothers. I shall secretly take upon myself all their harmful actions and suffering. So this is regarded as the Tomlin verse, the practice of Tomlin, but we'll go through bit by bit of this verse. So in first it says, in short, or to recap, to summarize. So it's condensing all the preceding points into this practice. Both directly and indirectly, we're thinking about our kind mother sentient beings. Of course, there's things that we can directly do to benefit others. When we think about the perfection of generosity, giving of food, medicine, shelter, material support, giving of medicine, giving love, giving time, most importantly, giving the Dharma. Of course, if you think about that, if I want to give the Dharma in terms of giving the precise Dharma, sharing that with others, then I have to myself ensure I have the correct understanding of the Dharma to whatever level I've got that. So hence we're here, engaging in this course, studying and reflecting and meditating on the topic. So directly, and then it says indirectly. So indirectly, we, through all our practices, like yesterday here, we had the Vajrasattva practice. And what we do there is, immediately we visualize around us all sentient beings and they're engaging in the practice with us. We start with our father and mother either side and our friends, family behind, so that we actually make it not just some sort of global idea of all sentient beings, but actual real people engaging in the practice with us. And then, of course, the ones we have difficulty with, which is the ones referred to in all these verses, the ones we really have to train our minds with, we place in front, because we really don't want to place them in front, do we? We want to hide them away somewhere. But, this is, you are my object of compassion in front. And so we, in both directly and indirectly. And the idea of respectfully, it doesn't say that there, it says secretly. This other version says respectfully, but basically the idea is that we're taking that on in the depths of our hearts, not just saying the words, but a genuine wish to relieve the suffering of others. If I could, I would take away all of suffering, having that idea in our mind, because if we look at Jesus Christ nailed on the cross to take on the sufferings of the world, even some great bodhisattvas, Jesus Christ wasn't able to do it. However, did it generate great compassion and great inspiration? Absolutely. A whole Christian movement, So we can say that, certainly a great benefit. And so I shall secretly take upon myself all their harmful actions and suffering. So the secretly is generally about, the practice of Tomlin in secret. So that we're practicing that, we use visualization practices for taking on the suffering and then giving them every happiness. In practice, directly, as I just said, we can give food, medicine, so forth. And, when we think about that, in terms of our practice, when we, having taken refuge and we offer food or drink. So, first of all, we that we, purify it and transform it into nectar and make it abundant. We visualize in a vast vessel all this yummy food and all delicious drinks and so forth, the most pure of food and drinks that we can think of. Even we make the offerings on the altar to the Buddhas, and we say, well, they don't actually need it, but we need to do this practice. We need to practice generosity, and we need to gain the blessings. But then on top, yes, we're offering to the gurus, the Buddhas, the bodhisattvas, all the great beings, particularly once we feel strong connection with, of course, Guru Shakyamuni Buddha is given in this age that we have such great fortune to because Guru Shakyamuni Buddha was the one who said at this time of degeneration that he would rise in this world system for the benefit to teach. So he had made that commitment when training on the path, and then that gets realised when you become. And so also, though, we can then visualise the sentient beings in every realm of existence and think about, what we do know about their existence in terms of the different realms of existence, and thinking of transforming that food or drink into nectar or into a substance they can receive as nectar and not as like poison or as like pus in the preta realm, or so forth, so that they can really experience being satiated by the joy of the food, the joy of the medicine, the joy of the drink, that it actually is effective for them. So we can do like that. And thinking about the 6 realms of existence, so that, when we were looking at the suffering of the lower realms, samsara and nirvana, this is where looking at the types of suffering, for example, from the hungry ghost realm, preta realm, this is from the 7th Dalai Lama, their stomachs are like mountains, their necks blocked, their limbs as thin as grass, their dry bodies covered in dust, their bone joints give off sparks like flints, their merest glance dries up rivers, they are always weary. I just paused there because, there's some that you can relate to really strongly. Tormented by hunger, not having known the torment of hunger in this life so far. But there are many beings in the world who have, so we can connect it up with those who are in the war zones, those who are really, like those little babies that are so skinny in like Gaza and so forth. I think it's a deliberate thing that they're starving them out. Horrific. So that is a hungry ghost realm existence. They also have a hellish realm existence. Make a shower of food, drink, and nectar rain down upon us. So this is the sort of thing that we visualize. And then, of course, extensively, the hell realms. We can go very extensive. I think in the teachings from the Vajra Suffer retreat, in some of the motivations, Lama Zopa Rinpoche goes very extensively through all the different realms and visualizing, giving them every happiness. So this from Nagarjuna, the suffering of being impaled 300 times by a spear in but a single day. That's just 1 hour. Cannot compare to the least suffering in hell. Cannot rival it, cannot come anywhere near it. So it's trying to get these analogies so that the more we understand about particular hell realms. So like I was thinking about, the one of the mountains squishing, and immediately I thought Gaza, and they're sort of told to go down there, and then they're all pushed up against this wall. That's a hell, right? It's a hellish experience. So we can do like that through all different realms in terms of genuinely wishing to take on all their hurts, their pains, and giving them the most delicious sustenance and everything that's going to benefit them. And then ultimately, the Dharma is what's going to benefit their mind, but they need to be, first of all, physically looked after, isn't it? You can't go seeking Dharma when you're just trying to stay alive. Yes.
I've been trying to do practice for my parents, and I've been trying, not sure what the right practice is or what the right term is, but I've been trying to purify their trauma Is that a doable thing?
That's a good question. You can't actually literally purify their trauma.
I thought maybe I was.
However, just think your parents. The thing about being human, we say why it is that this is the best form for Dharma practice, is that we have the 4 elements, plus we have the substances from the father and mother, this sperm and egg, right? And so there, when we look at subtle forms of those in our practice anyway. But any practice, because we are closely connected karmically with our parents, it doesn't have to be a happy connection in reality as adults. However, as you know, in the 7-point cause and effect, that we're cultivating this idea of that deep appreciation. At that point, it's particularly using the mother, because we literally came out of the womb of the mother. We wouldn't be alive without the mother. But both our parents, we would say, through their DNA, they gave me the eyes to see, they gave me the ears to hear, the nose, etc. They gave me this body. On the mother's side, we can look at, what she went through for 9 months in the womb, not to mention subsequently, but just thinking those 9 months of the womb of what she sacrificed for the sake of me, basically. And so we've got that, but thinking, actually, I share their DNA. That's how they prove, paternity. Maternity, I guess you don't have to prove. You did come out that womb. But yeah, paternity. And so any practice that we do, and particularly that we say, I'm doing this practice for the benefit of my mothers, I'm going on pilgrimage for the benefit of my parents, I'm doing my practice for the benefit of my parents. All of this that you're doing is, you could say, benefiting them directly.
Wonderful.
Right there. Yeah, it's a direct benefit. And so I would say that not necessarily are we healing the trauma of their trauma, but it's really our relationship. So that this is why we do the whole meditation on, the kindness of the mother. So we cultivate that deep, deep appreciation for our mother, for our father, for our parents who can extend out. And that if we don't reach a point where we have that sense of deep appreciation and closeness to our parents, we're not going to progress on the spiritual path. So it's really vital. So it's great. So keep doing the practice. This is why we visualize father, mother, in particular, and then the rest of our family friends. So we can extrapolate out to the rest of our family, that we're cultivating love for our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our nieces, our nephews, our partners, our children, grandparents, whatever, the whole extended family. Yes.
Is it trying to understand this? Purifying our own karma.
Absolutely.
And by that, we also break that negative karmic connection that we might have with the parent. We have a difficult connection with the parent, but it's very likely that we have a difficult.
I think by developing the
relationship.
Well, we don't know about past lives.
You're breaking that negative cycle, is that it?
Well, that's a good way of looking at it. I like that idea of like, okay, this stops, because you're transforming your relationship, right? So it's particularly by asking us to develop that sense of deep appreciation, care and concern and wishing. And then we, of course, we start with our own ones we have difficulty with. But we extend out to all other beings, because every single sentient being has been our mother, our father, and so forth. And so they've equally shared their DNA with me. So I've got a lot of connections, right? So
is it good to focus just on our parents to start with?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Like His Holiness says, widening the circle of life. Actually, we start with ourselves.
Well, I'm doing me and mum and dad.
Good. Yeah. Okay. So you've extended out from me to mum and dad.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then we get better at it. We're able to, we gradually develop that. And you could think mum and dad, but I know all the other sentient beings. So if I think like Lama Zopa says with the Bodhisattva practice, that we, with our practice, we can visualize all other sentient beings around us. Okay, mum and dad, well, I'm here, mum and dad. And then all the other sentient beings arising in human form and engaging in the practice with others, or engaging in the practice with us. And so therefore, I'm holding all of those in my mind, feeling that connection with them, even the ones I don't even know who they are, I haven't got a clue. I mean, what is it, 8 billion, 8.3 billion something human beings. And, my sphere of awareness is much smaller than that, even including all the ants, still much smaller. So, yeah, that empowers us, and that, you could say the more difficult that relationship, the more powerful our practice, because we're having to really determine to engage that. It takes us, well, it's like all of these verses take us way out of our comfort zone. And it's like being pushed out of our comfort zone. It's like being kicked up the path, particularly Mahayana practice, right? Particularly Mahayana practice. It takes a lot of courage. We might not think it's a courageous act, but it is. Okay. So what were we saying? Oh, we're on this Tomlin practice. So if we could turn to page, I think it's page 13, and Lama Zopa Rinpoche sets this out as a meditation here with the four immeasurables, the four immeasurable thoughts. So this is where we are extending out from myself, mum and dad, to all sentient beings, or you can focus on myself, mum and dad. And it doesn't have to be all sentient beings, but we think that they're all engaging along with it. Or sometimes I think, okay, that person who's causing harm in the world today, for example.
Without naming names.
Well, there's many. I mean, at all levels of society, there's many, right? Including myself. I can't say I'm not causing harm in the world. Insects again.
Driving a car.
Driving, many things. So, it starts with me. So, as Lama Zopa Rinpoche gives the meditation to do here of Tomlin, the taking and the giving, alternating each verse. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were to abide in equanimity, free of hatred and attachment. I mean, we could go for it in the world, couldn't we? Just taking one of those, just taking the hatred. Another time we could take the attachment, start with ourselves, and then extending out to others, free of that, not holding some close and others distant. May they abide in equanimity. I myself will cause them to abide in equanimity. We're taking that courageous step to make that commitment. It's not just the wish, so we have the aspiration, may they abide in equanimity, and then we're saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to cause them to abide in equanimity. You could meditate on that. How would I do that? And then please, Guru Deity, bless me able to do this, because I'm not quite able to do any of this right now. I need the blessings. But the Tomlin practice, so here it says, taking on the disturbing motions of sentient beings, right? And giving them to the self-cherishing form. So this is where we take it into the depths of our heart, not our physical heart, our heart chakra. And so we have to distinguish this I, me, who's here, who's the one working towards getting enlightened, and this neurotic I that I have hallucinated, you know, the self-cherishing mind, which is the one we want to smash. So smashing the self-cherishing thought. It's not smashing the me who's going to become enlightened, right? Just be very clear here that this is the one. And so taking it onto your self-cherishing thought, thus destroying it, so we can, whatever visualization is effective for us, you know, sometimes it's like, you know, taking on all as like smoke or soot or something, and then, or like, and then like smashing it to smithereens, this hard rock at our heart, so we can visualize that, taking on all that negativity that smashes our heart, which softens it. It doesn't, I mean, our heart chakra. It doesn't soften, sorry, it doesn't smash the heart chakra. We want to protect that. That's what we need to get enlightened. What it smashes is this self-cherishing that grasps and makes this right. So that's what we're doing with that. So you could think about, you know, sometimes it's good to think about, oh, so-and-so who I really saw very disturbed or having an argument with so-and-so, you know, we can use actual, make it real. Or you're working on your parents, oh, my parents used to blah, 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 you know, whatever.
I honestly can't think of any other way to help my parents.
Well, this is the best. Well, that's good, because this is the best way. This is the best way. This is the best way.
I needed to hear that. Thank you.
This is the best way. And then the giving, how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings has happiness and the causes of happiness. Or in the more recent version, attain Buddhahood and the causes. So, because that's the ultimate happiness. May they have happiness and its causes. So therefore I have to know the teachings on the Four Noble Truths, particularly number 3 and 4 here. I myself will cause them to have happiness and its causes. Again, taking responsibility. Please, Guru Deity, bless me to be able to do this. So I've made this conviction to do it. Please bless me to be able to do it. And then meditate on Tomlin again, on the giving, transforming our ordinary body, this body, into the wish-granting jewel. So the wish-granting jewel never runs out. So it's always, it doesn't, well, actually exist. It's symbolic, right? This wish-granting jewel. Although I did hear the stories, and they used to go seawards and look for the wish-granting jewels, like the treasure chests, you know, in the ocean. Anyway, there's a lot of teachings around that. And so here it's like ultimately the best, transforming ourselves into Dharma jewel, our body. Because what's the best thing we can give is the Dharma. So becoming the Dharma. And it's quite a nice visualization to have, because the more we go along, the more we can think, I'm becoming Dharma. Like Dharma's motivating me. I'm becoming that. I'm becoming, certainly, I'm representing the preciousness of the Dharma in the world, and that does have an impact on people, even they don't know that. You know, people are attracted to you and things like that, you know, or animals, so forth. But it says, you know, giving every sentient being, every karma, temporal and ultimate happiness. So the temporal will be the food and the medicine and the shelter and everything else they need that will benefit them in this life. But having said that, if they have those benefits, then, according to Maslow, then you seek spiritual actualization.
I was just wondering about giving somebody the Dharma. When you help somebody who is, has physical disabilities to attend teachings,
Yes.
do you give them the Dharma?
Yes, you're making it accessible. Yeah. So giving the Dharma doesn't mean giving a teaching as such. It's like I'm embodying the Dharma. So then everything I do is coming from that, you know, with that motivation to remove the obstacles for people to have access.
Even if you're sometimes like I wish I didn't have to help them.
Well, we're not perfect. We're working on it. So I have this mind that's like, oh, I wish I didn't have to do this. This mind, this ratty mind that's been self-cherishing for since beginningless time. However, I'm going to do it. I'm going to counteract that mind. I'm going to do it. This is my training. And it's a beautiful thing. In Sydney, there was, when we moved from, Vajrayana Institute moved from Newtown to Ashfield. So at Newtown, it was in a terrace house. The Gompa was upstairs. And there'd been a student who'd come from Adelaide, and he couldn't access the Gompa because it was upstairs and he was in a wheelchair. So when we moved to Ashfield, and we had he was so looking forward to it. We had a ramp, and he could, back his car in because we had a disabled access parking, and come into the Gompa. So making that accessible. I mean, and then you saw his great joy of that experience of being able to do that. So yeah, making it accessible. And when people, want to come. Remember more than once at the Dalai Lama's teachings. So, there was like 3,000 or so people there. The whole front row was wheelchairs.
It used to give me joy when I was in the Gompa at Chökyi Institute and someone had driven up and needed.
Because they made it accessible.
Yeah, and I need, because you need to go out and say, yes, it's all right to come in, please come through in this way, particularly if there was teaching, because you've actually got to come out onto the teacher's stage and down a little bit. But yeah, they were always so happy to be able
to come. Yeah, the fact that they could come. And there was, there'd be the bus that came with people with disabilities. So
yes,
bring people. Yeah, it's so precious to do that. And I'll deeply appreciate it. And it's doable. Very good. So you're putting a ramp out here?
I was just thinking of Thubten.
Yes.
Everybody seems to have like their own individual challenges.
Yeah.
Thubten just so,
Yeah.
so interesting to watch everybody. Somebody had bugs in their room constantly, no matter how often they cleared out their room, there were always kind of cockroaches. I was in the room next to her, I never had anything, but I had other.
They all went next door.
next door. But I had my own challenges.
Yes. I had my ants. I had ants in Copan.
Yes.
Had ants in Chinrezzy. There's something about ants.
we have had ants next door.
Yeah, I know. But not to the extent of Chinrezzy.
No.
That took the cake. That takes the cake. Especially when you're doing a retreat and you're so fascinated by the movement of the ant.
Very fascinating.
They are fascinating when you stop them and watch their communal efforts. Okay, so how far do we get? Oh, giving them, yes, transforming yourself into that Dharma jewel, everything they desire and need. And it can be a qualm, but if I just give them these things, but you're giving them like the lamas would give the food and everything, because then skillfully they can access the Dharma,
My qualms about, alcoholics wanting alcohol and drug addicts wanting drugs, is that one.
Well, yeah.
I have a little sort of sideline in my mind.
No, I get what you're saying. When we, say offer money to people on the street, people who request, and we offer money, it's like once we've offered something, it's not our business what they do with it, right? I hear what you're saying, and if we can skillfully turn their mind away from that, we do. But maybe that will be the thing, particularly you're a nun, they see a nun, there's an imprint there. You never know when and how that will ripen.
Okay, so to be able to give freely for whatever purpose suits the recipient.
Well, we don't know what they're going to do, actually.
It's about them, the act of giving without any judgment.
Yes,
So
yes,
much
you're
more
giving
powerful.
freely.
And
Yeah.
then receive that, hopefully seeing that that person is giving you money with an open heart and an open, you know, because it's, you know, I imagine that what they see in the day would not much of it would be joyful. I mean,
Not, yes, they've got,
just see a human being who is suffering and just an offering of.
yeah, for example, I was in the US and we were out walking. I was with another nun who somebody came up and asked for money, and she freely gave $20 US. This guy, like, he was stunned that someone would give him so much. And when we went away, she said, he won't forget that. So it's an imprint, because he was stunned. Like, you didn't give me 50 cents, or 20 cents, you gave me $20. And wow, who does that? So that you could see that impact. So we never know what seeds are being planted, what karmic debts we're repaying. Who knows? We don't really know. If we look at it conventionally, we're going to make a different decision. But we have to check up, is it my self-grasping, my judgmental, critical mind? However, I did say, if we can do something different skillfully, like, oh, you want something to eat? Come up here, I'll buy you a meal.
Yeah, I've tried that.
Yeah. 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 I mean, there's someone up here who, you know, I haven't seen for a while. But
because she's moved to Eastby.
no, not her friend.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I've run into her, she says, oh, can you give me $7.90 or something precise? And then she says, no, she doesn't ask for it. She asks if you've got that. And then she takes you to the cafe and says what she wants for breakfast. Actually, it costs $20. It's gone up, you know. And I just think that's wonderful, because she also and asks you if you'd like to stay and, you know, have a cup or whatever with her. So I just think that's wonderful, because this is somebody who needs to eat, and they're actually showing, I don't want to touch your money. I think that's great. I don't know who they are in the great scheme of things. Wonderful. Okay, then the compassion one. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they be free from suffering and its causes. First noble truth, second noble truth. So we really have to know what they are and not just say the words. I myself will cause them to be free from suffering and its causes. Oh, I don't think I can do that. Please, Guru Deity, bless me to be able to do this. So then we think about the sufferings and causes of suffering, if that's for our parents, if that's for people in Gaza, Ukraine, someone we know who's going through a particularly suffering time, difficulty, then we can take that on board, make it real, but also then visualize all other sentient beings, as well. That, again, taking on to our self-cherishing and smashing it to smithereens. And then immeasurable joy. How wonderful it will be if all sentient beings were never separated from the happiness of higher rebirth and liberation. May they never be separated from these. I myself will cause them never to be separated from these. Please, Guru Deity, bless me to be able to do this. So he giving all our merits, all our past, present, future merits, virtues, their results, all our positive qualities, all our health, all our wealth, all the way up to enlightenment. And then we can think that they attain the state of enlightenment and they're abiding in immutable great bliss. And so we bliss out because they're blissed out. And so we experience great joy, they experience great joy, and there's great joy all around them. We rejoice in that great joy, which keeps it, and that becomes like the joy of Dharma. I think that was Mingyur Rinpoche, the joy of Dharma, that it truly does give joy. You know, our practice, our study, our meditations, sort of the hook that keeps us coming back. You're not sorry, because there's no interruptions. There's question or comment.
I was so disappointed when I learned that you can't actually take somebody's suffering. They're happy, because I thought that you really could practice.
Right. Well, there is a thing. We can't yet actually take on their suffering. And the extent to which, I mean, if the Buddha could take on all suffering in the world, he would have done it. If Jesus Christ would have done it, you know. However, when I'm just relaying what was printed, when Chökyi Tenshap Rinpoche was coming towards the end of his life, and he had an aggressive cancer. And someone said to him, you know, you're a great holy being. How come you've got this aggressive cancer? And his reply was, what do you expect when you're taking on the sufferings of the world? That's the words he said. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, for some years between, I know Rinpoche was in Australia in 2006, and then for some years we were inviting Rinpoche, or Vajrayana Institute was inviting, and we'd just get close to the point, and it was always in June. It was always around Sakadawa, and 2 or 3 times Rinpoche was called by His Holiness. So, you know, come here, you go. And it was to do, because they would be doing big pujas, practices to take on obstacles, right? When Lama Zopa manifested stroke, as we say, he manifested stroke in that he was taking something on. Because all of us over there in Bendigo thought it was all our own fault because we're like that, don't we? Take it off. It's all about me. It's my fault. If I wasn't here, it doesn't matter where you are. But one of his teachers said he was taking on obstacles for Tibet and His Holiness Dalai Lama's life. So what do we know at that level? So we're in training. And so what our training is giving us is the capacity to develop more and more that heart connection with others and wishing we could take on their suffering. Like, for example, if you've got a headache, I don't really want your headache, right? We don't literally like that take the actual literal suffering. But what this practice is to smash the self-cherishing that says, they're suffering? What about mine? Let me tell you all about mine. You know, so to smash that. And then may I experience this headache on behalf of all sentient beings.
What a lot of people suffer, animals suffer, you think and you think that if you can take this on literally and make it better, you can make yourself feel better. So it's like a little bit of a selfish thing.
Well, there's a thing of being selfish. So if we're going to be selfish, be wisely selfish. So then if it's for the benefit of others, so just like you're talking about the animals, yeah, and you know, Mathieu Ricard, when he presented at one of these conferences, and it was all about animal cruelty, and then so you're doing something to say, hey, who's actually causing this is not the animals themselves, is it? It's the humans. I mean, animals do give each other a go, but the humans putting people in that position. So what can if there's something that we can do it. If we can't, we engage in our practice and wish that we could. And to the extent that we progress on the spiritual path, we develop more wisdom about what we are capable of doing. And opportunities arise to do things that we never thought we were capable of doing. You know, for example, animal liberation, animal blessings, animal liberation. Because what do we want ourselves to be liberated from? It's the whole of samsara. And same for the animals. Yeah. But I do believe that by the power of our practice, we do impact every single being that we encounter. It does happen. We impact in a positive way every single being, so they benefit from our practice. Literally not having the headache or the cancer or this or that, but you know, they benefit from our practice.
When I can think about that, I can literally take on the suffering, the world. Maybe it's just a remaining thing of my Christian upbringing. No,
go for it. Really have that genuine thought. I will do this.
But it also helps, like when you're feeling sorry for yourself and you're feeling depressed or you're feeling sick. And there was like one time when I was like, feeling sorry for, like, you know, you probably don't, right?
Oh, I do know.
And like,
Poor me, yeah.
And I thought, oh yeah, that was so fun. You're being so ridiculous. You want to take on the suffering of the world, you can't even take that on. And then it was immediate. It didn't go away completely, but it was better.
There you go. You dealt with your own poor pity me.
Yeah. And sometimes we do need to give ourselves that thought.
Often, yeah. But that's where it says to start with ourselves. So in How to Meditate, Venerable Sangye Kadro has this, the Tomlin there, it starts with ourselves, visualizing, taking on our own, problems, suffering, and so forth, which is quite nice because you can do that at a time you can do that at a time when you are in that poor pity me. I want to take on everybody's poor pity me because everybody has it, including the animals. Have you seen them do a poor pity me? I'm not one. I always think of little dogs, you know, they just look so pathetic when they're not well. Probably big dogs. Big dogs are even better at it because they've got the eyebrows on, you know. Do you know I'm sick? Yeah. So everything that we experience like that is not to be dismissed. It's grist with a mill to say, hey, here's an opportunity, which is exactly what you did. Really? Poor pity me? Hello, look at the world. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Okay, so that's one way we could engage with that on a daily basis. And then we have the actual Tomlin verse in here, LC 95. So it's after these 8 verses, page 89. So this is really going for the top level in Bodhisattva. And thus perfect, pure, compassionate gurus, I seek your blessings, just like we said there in the 4 immeasurables, that all karmic debts, obstacles, and sufferings of mother beings, all sufferings. So we're not just looking at the literal suffering that we see in this world. We're talking about lifetime of accumulation of suffering of all mother sentient beings. Don't know how many gazillions that is. May without exception ripen upon me right now, and that I give my happiness and virtue to others. So the taking and the giving, and thereby invest all beings in bliss. So we recite this 3 times. In the retreat book, Lama Zopa says there, and if you haven't completed the meditation, pause here, right, to complete the meditation. of course, when we do as a group practice, we keep going. So we do it 3 times. The first time is we're visualizing that we're taking on all the afflictive obscuration, the obscurations to liberation. So all the afflictions, deluded states of mind, and so forth of all sentient beings. And the second time, we visualize that we're taking on all the obscurations to omniscience, to Buddhahood, which are, okay, once you reach that state of liberation, those afflictions have been purified. You know, you've got a direct perceptual realization of emptiness. However, there's still that imprint which hasn't got the power to manifest into a karmic action, but it's the residuals on our mental continuum. So you visualize taking those obscurations, knowledge obscurations to omniscience. And so that then places you, so that's the bodhisattva grounds, up to number 10. And then there's the visualizing taking on all the contaminated, transforming all the contaminated aggregates and placing them in the state of a deity. So they arise as a deity. So that's the tantric path. So it's like you're guiding them, taking on the obstacles to which stage of the path to enlightenment. So that's the advice for visualizing that. So even when, as I said, when we do group practice, if we don't do that, you can do it. You can just take that verse and use that as a Tomlin practice as well. And there's many other meditations on Tomlin. Right. Don't be sorry. I'm rejoicing. We love questions in, you know, see, the sorry comes from your Christian background, having had a Christian background. Asking questions was discouraged. And from the patriarchy, it comes from what it comes from society, but in especially Tibetan Buddhism, we love a good Q&A, debate. That's our way of learning. That's how we do learn, you know. We were talking about this yesterday, I can't remember, and like that kids being dampened down by being told to zip the lip and, you know, or yeah, not speak until spoken to.
Seen and not heard.
Seen and not heard, that's right.
It's the opposite now. I didn't actually have a Christian upbringing. I had a Christian upbringing through my grandmother in the defiance of my parents. It was very complicated.
Oh, well, you had an influence. Anyway, it's societal and good that it's changed.
I just wanted to ask whether you could take a picture of the spirit.
Yeah, you can. Yes, go for it. Yeah. Absolutely. It's Dharma. Dharma is free. Dharma centers have a bit of upkeep, but the Dharma itself is free. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's great to use as a meditation on Tomlin. It's really wonderful. Okay. Where am I going through here? Okay, so the Tomlin practice itself comes in the most explicitly presented by Shantideva, Lama Atisha, the exchanging self for others. And just looking at the Lamrim outlines. So it's Lama Tsongkhapa. Oh, first of all, quote from Shantideva, the practice of equalizing oneself with others is a holy and mystical practice. So we could say mystical is like secret, but usually when we say mystical, it means it's a deep practice, but also that what's the impact of that is hidden to us. So it's from the depths of our heart. That, you know, we don't know, like thinking about, is this having any impact on any other sentient being other than myself? And then we may even ask if it's having an impact on ourselves. Hope we don't ask that, because I hope we feel the impact, some impact, particularly if we do again and again and again. So it's, you can see Shanti Davis holding it in high regard, and that it's really like these practices, we said all the lo-jong practices were passed on in secret for those whose minds were ready for it, you know, traditionally. And that, well, now we could say that we have the great fortune that we have met with these teachings through our precious teachers who have passed them on to us, and Shanti Deva being one. So Lama Zopa makes this comment that holy and mystical because it's not understood by lower small scope and middle scope beings, and so therefore they wouldn't rejoice in this action. But in the context of training as a bodhisattva, definitely. Lama Tsongkhapa said, even the breath running in and out can become a great method of helping other beings by making them receive the highest, most magnificent state. Obtained through the practice of a bodhisattva's deeds characterized by bodhicitta, taking more care of others than oneself. Now, that's not literally taking more care of others than yourself, because, you know, what about me? We have to take care of ourselves to be able to care for others. What it's saying is, instead of putting 100% of our energy into the core pity me or self-cherishing thought, let's just orient ourselves more out to what's happening around, which actually is a win-win because it overcomes that core pity me self-cherishing, as you just demonstrated. So the breath running in and out, saying that when we're familiar with this, that we can use the breath in as the taking on, smashing the self-cherishing, and the breath out as the giving, with the breath out. Again, we could think, what impact might this have on someone? So it can have impact. Sometimes you get feedback from people that it has impact. They don't know what you're doing. You're doing it in secret. You're not telling anyone you're doing it for them. But you can be face to face with someone, or, you know, in the company of someone that you know is suffering, and you can do this. And don't expect them to go, oh, thank you very much. That was great. But it's transformative. It's transformative of the environment around us. So, and give up. So the equalizing is that seeing that we are all equal, that we all have the right to happiness and want happiness, that we all have the right not to suffer and don't want to suffer. In that way, all sentient beings are equal, not just the humans. All sentient beings are equal in that. Fortunately, they are, because otherwise it would be the most disturbed mind, even, yeah, whatever. So that we see how they're equal. They want to protect themselves, just watch, well, they watch ants, but, you know, watch any being that you're trying to save, and then it runs away because it thinks you're trying to scare it away because you're a big human and they're a little tiny thing. And so if we think about the way our body is constructed, it's made up of all these different parts and they protect each other, don't they? I mean, we're built like this. You know, if some part of the brain doesn't function, another part takes over. That didn't have that job. They don't say, oh, bad luck. They take over. So the whole body organism is constructed to help, you know. Okay. So looking at this, another quote from the Bodhisattva's Way of Life: my own happiness and others' suffering, if I do not thoroughly exchange them, not just a little bit, but wholeheartedly, I will not become fully enlightened. So this way we can say, this is the only way. This is the Bodhisattva path. This is how I train to become enlightened. Not only that, but in cyclic existence, not only that, in this life too, I'll find no joy, right? So it's a source of joy, you can say, for ourselves. Okay. Anything else about Tomlin? Verse 8. Whatever I occasion to meet, I seek your blessings, that I may adapt it to my meditation. So whatever I encounter, may I adapt it to my meditation by the skillful means of the four applications. May I render this life of liberties and endowments infinitely meaningful by practicing the advice and commitments of thought training. So the other one, human. By ensuring that all this remains undefiled from the stains of 8 mundane concerns, worldly concerns, and by understanding all things as illusions, I will train myself to be free of the bondage of clinging. So this one's the culmination of these practices is the wisdom of emptiness, undefiled by the stains of the superstitions of the 8 worldly concerns. So when we say superstitions, what do we say today? Fake news, fake truth, not fake news, fake truth. It's fake truth. It's quite interesting that's become a thing in the world, because the Buddha talked about fake truth. It's all fake. Or, the conventional truth, because we believe that what appears to us exists as it appears, and it's saying, no, that's not how it works. So first of all, it talks about not to be defiled by do all these practices, but don't do them with the stains of the worldly concerns. So don't do them as a thing of, pride, puffing yourself up, or to benefit ourselves in this life. So then we look at the 8 worldly concerns. So don't do it on the basis of self-cherishing. So when we talk about 8 worldly concerns, we talk about the 8 white worldly dharmas, the 8 black worldly dharmas, and the 8 mixed worldly dharmas. So the 8 white ones is the normal level that we look at in terms of the self-cherishing mind, where we don't want to be blamed and we want to be praised, where we want to be seen as, we say, famous or well regarded, respected, highly regarded, and we don't want to have notoriety. We want things to be pleasant, comfortable. We don't want to encounter anything unpleasant. So that we don't want to hear, that particularly negative sounds. We want everything to be nice in our ears. And then we want to acquire stuff. Right? And we want to avoid losing stuff. And there might be a lot of stuff we'd be happy to lose, But just think if you lose your wallet, if you lose your phone, if you lose, think of the things that we freak out about. And it says, no, I don't want to be separated from those things. It can be people, places, and things. So they're the ones at that level and then they just operate at a more subtle level. So the 8 black ones are based on we could say they're all based anyway, on the 3 poisons. Attachment, ignorance, attachment, aversion, and ignorance. And then at the more subtle level, it's the self-grasping, grasping at a self, grasping at existence, grasping at being. So like that. So that's how they're generally delineated. So any action that we do that's motivated by 8 worldly concerns is non-dharma, is non-virtue. And this makes it really, really hard to say, no, I want my dharma practice to be pure. I want it to be free of all of that. Like, I don't go away from here and go, well, I went to higher Griva today. Not like that. I mean, you might tell someone for their benefit, but not to say, well, I spent a virtuous Sunday morning, whatever. So that mixing it up, or I want to acquire the most expensive mandala set, and it will sit on my shelf and I want to use it. No. As Lama Yeshe would say, going into the Dharma supermarket. So yeah, just watch where we want our mind to be free of that. And so recognizing that everything is illusory, that everything is fake truth, that everything is how we perceive it to be is faulty. It doesn't exist in the way it appears. Even we know this with our Dharma knowledge. We're not training our mind to see it as illusory, to see these sort of hazy apparitions. It's not like that. It's not like we become a Buddha and everything becomes hazy and you need glasses. Well, you might need glasses, but it's not because of that. It's knowing that it's not as it appears. I know it appears to me like this. So then I'm not grasping at permanence. I'm not grasping at existence. I'm not grasping at even the body. And that's our biggest grasping. The biggest grasping is the body. When we're coming towards the end of our life and we think it's going to be, family, friends, and so forth. No, it's ourself. I am going out of existence. This I that doesn't exist is going out of existence. This is that's the self grasping. So mind. Yes.
A slight tangent, but it made me smile earlier on in the session today, and then just recently, the term, how AI is really
yes
going gangbusters.
AI is going gangbusters.
But it's very interesting the term that is used when AI gets it wrong is called a hallucination.
Yeah, it's a hallucination. Yeah, it's a hallucination. It's all hallucination, including AI.
That's a term. So just be mindful of
hallucination. Yeah.
So to sort of, we use that terminology. I think the first time I heard it at work, it just made me smile.
Yes.
And I'm thinking,
yeah.
Okay, so we're able to talk about AI as
hallucination. No, but this is the real world, not the AI world, which has hallucinations. This is the real world that doesn't have hallucinations.
I just think it's really interesting that term is the term used for anyway.
No, it's not. It's very relevant because I find it's fascinating when in the world these terms are used but they're not used in the way the Buddha would make it more pervasive than AI. Yeah.
If we could learn from it, if we're able to recognize.
We're able to recognize.
Technology is not it's not seeing things as it should be, and therefore it is a hallucination. We're able to recognise it more, but it's the I that stops us because we see that we're smart, or we've got brains.
We're smarter than the AI, because the AI is hallucinating, and we're not. Yeah, let's check that up, shall we? Because you've got to say, who created the AI? It came from human minds. So it came from a hallucinating mind in the first place. So.
The boundaries,
yeah.
These are my boundaries. Or
these are the limitations. Exactly. Well, similarly, when the first woman who was appointed chief astronomer in Australia, and her area was dark matter, and she said, whatever we know of the universe, it was sort of like, what do we know about the universe out there? I think she's quoted about 17%. I don't know how you come to that percentage, but the rest is human ignorance.
Wow.
She said the rest is human ignorance. Like, it's dark matter. We don't understand it. It's human ignorance. It's just that we don't know it, right? And I thought that was, I don't know if she was Buddhist or not, but it was great that she said it. So in a scientific field, that you could say this is due to human ignorance because we just don't know. And it's just like, yeah, it pretty much comes down to that, doesn't it? We just don't know. It's not that it can't be known. It's anything that exists is knowable. Just we may not know it. We may not know it yet. Think of all the things, in the past century that have become known that weren't previously. And actually in the Dharma world, think of all the teachings that have been revealed in the past century. Even in our own tradition, like when we were asked to do the Sangata Sutra, Rinpoche, there had been some translation, but there'd been some part of it had been translated and the other part hadn't, and so forth. And then the Sado, the Exalted Long Life Sutra that Rinpoche himself translated. And there's just like, oh, there's more things emerging. Maybe we're ready for this, or, and ones that have been said in Dharma too, it's not the time yet to reveal these. Because we went up, what is it? It's not going to be revealed. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And then we have to look at ourselves and go, okay, while I'm engaging in Dharma practice, how much, and when am I not engaging in Dharma practice? This is it. But generally in life, how much am I caught up with worldly concern? What percentage of time? I think we'll be very surprised of the number. But that's reality, isn't it? And this is where, like, the Kadampa masters really out of step with reality, going against society. And this is the thing, that going against worldly convention, the more you get into Dharma, the more that it requires that in a way. But, doing it skillfully, I don't have to tell my family that they're just caught up in worldly concerns. I don't know what's going on inside of them. I've got no clairvoyance. So that, it's not being judgmental of others. It's just looking at, well, what am I spending my time engaged with? And of course, I'm spending my time I tell myself again and again, well, I actually am immersed in Dharma, but not 24/7. And there's a lot of conventional reality. Well, I exist in conventional reality most of the time. I mean, all of the time, actually. Sorry, not most of the time. I don't exist in another reality. Sorry, I exist only in conventional reality, and doing my best to, step by step, incorporate Dharma into my life. And that's, I guess, the most that we can hope for. And well, not the most we can hope for. We can look at, I really wanted to be praised and noticed. Excuse me, did you notice I cleaned the gompa? Well, I didn't. Did you clean the gompa? Yeah, she cleaned the gompa.
No, it was like whiz.
There you go. She doesn't tell me. I mean, Katie, when she was doing it, I don't think people knew she was coming in and doing it until she couldn't, right? Pretty much, it's like that. It's a sort of, oh, not to mention your good self. See? So, you know, we look at...
It's not housework.
It's a practice. Yeah, clean away dirt, clean away stains. Go for it. Yeah.
Sorry if I'm interrupting my thoughts, but the Geshe-la said yesterday about the cleaning practice, and we had like a do you know what he said? The verse that you can repeat and
that was the clean away dirt, clean away stains one, wasn't it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. It's the story of the monk cleaning, and who couldn't remember the mantra.
Oh yes, so it is.
And realizing that it's the dirt of the afflictions and the stains, the imprints in our mental continuum, that's what you're cleaning away.
I can't remember. I've actually got the words. I'll share.
In Sanskrit or Tibetan?
English.
Oh, so it was different words to that?
Yeah, Geshe-la said it in Tibetan yesterday.
But you've got the words in English. It's pretty much the clean away dirt, clean away stains. It's in Pabonka Rinpoche, Liberation of Harm. Yeah. Got a picture of the monk and dirt, sweeping dirt.
I think that's where I got it from.
Yeah. Yeah. Might be clearer away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've got it.
And it says, oh, he had the realization that the dirt was the dirt of the afflictions. He had the realization that the stains was the stains of the of ignorance, basically, of what did I say? Stains of imprints. Yeah, the imprints. Yeah. Yeah. And then he became a great teacher. Then the nuns, he was told to teach the nuns, and they were unimpressed because he was the one who couldn't remember a mantra until he started teaching. They said, thank you very much, Buddha. Get a great teacher. They all bowed down. Yeah. So to look at this in terms of looking at things as a illusory, you know, being aware they're not truly out there, separate from myself. We can also look at that the body is not truly a sense of a pure entity. So we have these faults of seeing what's impure as pure, and that's usually in relation to the body. And then we have all the meditations of peeling off the skin and peeling off the flesh, and being left meditating on the skeleton that's walking towards you. That's you. Or putting all the body parts in a big heap and saying, which part of that is pure, which part of it is beautiful. I mean, is it the kaka? I know, I keep knocking it. Thank you. Oh gosh. So, realizing that everything is dependent, so the opposite side, dependent arising. By realizing dependent arising, we realize emptiness. We'll go into much greater detail in the next module on this because it's on emptiness. Yes, that's the next module. The deep end of the pool. Well, this is already the deep end of the pool. This is the secret pool. So when something appears, there's two things. One is the appearance as being truly existence, and its emptiness arises at the same time. Being empty of that appears. If you get my understanding, if you get that. So that realizing that everything that exists, as soon as our mind labels it, or even before, we have it as something out there separate from ourselves. So as soon as something arises, we don't realize, but we have a mental image of that, which is the thing we hold as permanent. It sort of like sticks in our memory as this permanent fixed thing. It's like when you see somebody and you don't see them for 10 years, you've got to really update your permanent image to replace it with a new one, don't you? It's like, oh, they don't look like that at all. Yeah. And then you go, you go, gee, they look older. And you think, oh, therefore I do too. Yeah, just saying. Yeah. All right, so we'll, as I said, we can go through that more in the next module. Just look here.
So is the next module in the last one?
No, there's Tantra. So it says, so Geshe Chekawa's, I'm also flipping to Geshe Chekawa's commentary on the 8 verses. So Geshe Chekawa, who composed the 7-point mind training, having found that one verse. He says, when tainted with mundane concerns such as desire to be perceived by others as praiseworthy, we fall under the influence of the 8 mundane concerns and our pursuits become those of self-interest. When this occurs, the sacred teachings have been turned into demons. If we understand these, the 8 worldly concerns, as illusion-like, so in this way we can say, we think this is going to create happiness, and we're going to be successful, etc. Take a look at what happens. In reality, not quite like we think. And so when we see that that's actually a hallucination, it's not like that at all, then we're relinquishing that attachment. And so we'll give up on the 8 worldly concerns. In the meantime, we're at least letting go of the tightness of the grasp. So we might know it intellectually, but I haven't yet habituated it into my way of being in the world 24/7. Fine when I'm at home. As soon as you go out and about, all sorts of things happen. And it's not necessarily, you can track back. How am I now and how was I before? And, over time, definitely see a different no amount of money is going to do it. No amount of, in fact, we don't need a lot at all, or that we tell ourselves that we need to acquire. Most of it we don't need. If we're like the Dalai Lama who says, if I haven't used it for 6 months, out it goes. Gone. Maybe not even 6 months now. I mean, I'm as a room show, come in one hand and go out the other, hardly touch. And it's like, full, gone. Yeah. Yeah, so then engage, so just in general in relation to the mind training practices, it's good, as I said, to recite this 8 lines of the as an aspiration to create the propensities for our own enlightenment. And then Geshe Chekawa offers this verse to sum up. To such activities of root virtue, I will dedicate all my time, all my months, all my years. In the future too, I will make sure to encounter spiritual teachers. So we're looking towards future lives. May I always, in all future lives, meet with the precious Mahayana Guru, and so forth, and virtuous companions, each fellow Dharma students, and that we repeatedly recite these aspirations until they become part of our mind stream. So we've come to the end of this month. So we have a break during October. There's no break from samsara, unless you get enlightened in the meantime. Or realize emptiness in the meantime, in which case you can teach the next module. Yeah, so we start again at the beginning of November. I just wanted to give a heads up as well because somebody requested to take refuge. So I put that first Sunday afternoon in November for a refuge ceremony.
After DB?
Yeah, at 2 p.m. It hasn't got into the program yet because it's only just happened. So I'll get that put into the program. That will be on that day, so that anyone's welcome to refresh, participate at that level. Just say, and yeah, if you know anybody who's interested, anyway, we'll put it out there for those who are interested. So, you know, as I said, there's no break. So, homework is to be able to commit these verses to memory because it won't take too long. You know, just day by day by day.
Did you also mention that meeting in October?
Well, it's a meeting, yeah, but I checked out who was engaged online. I checked out the people who were engaged online. There was only other one person in Western Australia.
But just because they missed the teaching doesn't mean they're not interested in doing it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. When is that? The 17th of it's Saturday morning, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's the 17th of October. So a group of us were following Geshe Zopa's introduction to the Nyondro at Lungri Tampa Centre. So just
the 19th. Saturday 19th.
Okay, I'll come back to that. So just to keep in mind that this is Geshe Zopa has committed to roll out these 5 years of Nyondro practices, like one a year, as a practice for each of the centres. So next time Geshe is here, he will do that here. So the first one's Lungri Tampa, so they're doing that right now. And then like they're going to be having regular meetings of the group there because they were sort of like physically there, I think, and online. So there was 6 of us, 5 of us, anyway, whatever, who I think maybe 6. And so we're going to meet every month and just check in and discuss the Nyondro and so forth. May not be meaningful if you haven't watched the teachings, but they should be available online, I guess, after this weekend. But anyway, we just decided yesterday to have, you know, a couple of people are keen to keep meeting up and just have a couple and chat about Nyondro. So it's Saturday, the 19th of October at 10 a.m. here out in the lounge area. New lounge area.
And the centre in Queensland, they have their own catch-ups regularly.
Yes, yeah, because they'll be coming, well, they'll be doing, I guess, a similar thing, but it will be available online. So Miffy did say, I know it was a Friday morning, but I don't know how, I can't remember how regular it is. So I'll listen again and see when it is, or I'll check with her.
Or you can subscribe to it.
Yeah, anyone can join to get the newsletter. I'm guessing they'd put it down in their newsletter. Yeah.
They're very thorough.
Very thorough.
They have a wonderful newsletter.
Anyway, you can go on the Lungri Tampa website and there's a page about Geshe's teachings and the Nyondro.
If you subscribe to the teaching package, then they'll send you all the teaching material.
Yeah.
And also let you know what the catch-up sessions.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll be it. That'll be it. Friday evening. Yeah, well, we missed that. I mean, Saturday afternoon, yesterday afternoon was quite busy. Yeah. Yeah, so that's good. If you subscribe, then you should get all that information, hopefully. Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. Okay, so let's dedicate. Sensual Rinpoche, Ma ke pa nam ge ku chi, ge pa nyam pa me pa nyam, go ne go nu pa wa shu. In the prayer for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Incomparably kind and supreme Tenzin Gyatso, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, may you have a long life and all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. I pray for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious One Shravakas and Practical Buddhas, victorious lo-jong father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lights. Please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice. You wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request, while striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings. You suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth, the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta, children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. A long night prayer for Tenzin Oso Rinpoche. Lord of Dhamma, who in accordance with the various dispositions of those to be subdued, makes clear in the light of your well-spoken advice the sacred Ganden tradition, essence of Buddha's teachings. Foremost and Holy Lama, to you for us supreme, we make this prayer of supplication. Lama, please, please. Thank you very much.
Wonderful time at Chen, is it?
Well,